It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Athletes Unlimited professional lacrosse player, Haley Warden. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to play professional lacrosse?
Yeah, so after I had won the national championship in 2018, I knew that wasn't the end of my career. I just felt like there was more. Like I'd tasted success on a different level, and I kind of wanted to keep going in that aspect. And I wasn't originally drafted in the WPLL, and then after that game, I'd been drafted to the Upstate Pride. So that was their first season, and I was super grateful and like super shocked after. I was like, "What? I'm on a professional team." And then from there, it kind of just took off into wanting to do well in the sport of lacrosse, wanting to grow the game, wanting to compete at the highest level and keep growing. So that's kind of when I knew that I wanted to keep moving forward with my lacrosse career.
What was it like going to JMU and playing lacrosse in college?
JMU was definitely a great experience. I would say that the people at JMU are awesome. They're my best friends. I'm sure everybody who plays on a team says that their teammates are their best friends, but they truly are special people. The head coach, Shelley, does a great job of recruiting people and their families, not just the athlete. And I think it shows in our dynamic and how well we get along, and just the pride that we have from going to a school like JMU. So yeah, it was awesome.
What was it like putting on that purple JMU jersey for the first time?
Well, honestly, it's a little weird. Like I had always been maroon and black and white in high school, and going to the total extreme purple, I was just like, what have I done? Like, what is this color? Many people say that like it's Barney like because you're in purple, but I don't know, something about putting on the JMU uniform, knowing that I was about to step into the best 4 years of my life. It was incredible, especially having my best friends around me. Nervous to play UNC in the first game. Like it was tough. But it was something that I wouldn't trade for the world.
What was that feeling like of playing UNC, knowing how good their lacrosse program is?
Yeah, so it was definitely intimidating. But with JMU, we like to pride ourselves on having that chip, and regardless of the opponent, we're gonna come out, we're gonna be gritty, we're gonna hustle, we're gonna do everything in our power to kind of rough up the opponent a little bit so that we have a shot at competing in those games. And I think that over the past 3 years, we always open up with UNC. Like every game is UNC. And I think in my senior year, we were just like, we want to beat UNC. Like we had lost all 3 games in my freshman, sophomore, and junior year. And I think my senior year, we were just like over it. So we were like, it's time to put the foot down and show that we can play with the big dogs. So yeah, it's awesome.
What was it like, obviously, playing your senior year against UNC, and did you win, obviously, that game?
Yeah, so opening up with UNC in my senior season, it was a tough, rainy game at home. The field was brown. It wasn't even green yet because the grass hadn't turned for whatever reason. It was still like, it was like February. It was a gritty game. It was back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then in the final minutes, we ended up going into overtime. And I remember us being like, this is it. Like, we've never been in a game this close with UNC before. So like, this is a moment to put it away. I believe our starting goalie had not had a great showing in the first half and end of second half, but I think, and we ended up going to our backup goalie. So that's Molly Doherty, who's the current goalie. So she stepped in for the last like few minutes of UNC that game, and really played huge for us. We ended up getting the draw controls back and forth in overtime, and Kristen Gaudian ended up putting the ball away in the back of the net. So like we had tons of opportunities to win it earlier in overtime, but we just like couldn't finish. And then she put it away for us. And it was just like, did we really just do this? Did we just beat UNC?
What was that feeling like of obviously beating them on your senior year after obviously coming short the rest of the years?
Yeah, so it was, it was a huge confidence booster for us. We had come into the season being like, we have the skill, we have the talent, we have the drive to be competing at the national level. And we had a mission that year to go all the way. My class, the team, everybody was bought in. And I think that moment when we beat UNC really validated that we can do this.
Of course, in your 4 years at JMU, did you ever go to the tournament and get close to obviously the trophy?
So in my 4 years, I competed in the NCAA tournament every single year. My freshman year was like the first. Yeah, my freshman year we played USC at Duke, and we like really thought that we could beat them, and then we fell short. Then my sophomore year, we didn't even think we were going to make the tournament. We had like a 10-10 season, and we were like, season's over. And we ended up getting into the tournament and playing the first West Coast game like ever. And we were like playing Stanford, and it was just like, and we like lost that game by 1. So the following year, we finally make it through round 1. We get to the Sweet 16. And that's where I think the momentum started to build. We're like, okay, we finally made it through round 1. Like we made it to Sweet 16. Now let's see how much farther we can go. And I think that really, I think, was like the start of the hope that we could get to the NCAA tournament and get to the Final Four. So that was where we're like, okay, we're good enough to beat these top 16 teams. Like, let's see how much farther we can go.
Coming out of college, what was it like going into professional lacrosse, playing in the WPLL for Pride?
Yeah, so going right out of college was definitely tough. I actually ended up getting I went straight from national championship, 1 week off, game. So my body was definitely like very worn down. Like, you could imagine going through like an entire year of lacrosse and then like just keep going, like no breaks. And I ended up getting like a bad ankle injury at the end of the season, like last game, like just out with a little bit of an injury. Was out for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I think it was like I don't remember what it exactly was. My foot was like black and blue, like all the way down, couldn't walk, couldn't bend it, but it was last game. So I was like, all right, this is my body telling me that I need a break. So I would say that I was definitely a little nervous. I was playing with all these big time players like Michelle Tumalo, Daniel Spencer, like all of these big names that I was just like, do I belong here? Like, they're so good. And the more and more I played, the more I was like, okay, like I'm just coming off a season. My skill is sharp. Like I should definitely be confident in this league because I haven't had a break. Like I've literally, and everyone else had to come from coaching their seasons or work or whatever it might be. Like I had a bunch of touches on my stick. So I think going through that season, it was definitely a little bit of a learning curve for me to know that I can play with these girls.
What was it like obviously signing with the Pride and putting on that jersey?
Yeah, so at first I was like, I don't know, I don't really make a big deal out of a lot of stuff. So if I say that like putting on a jersey I was just like, this is really cool. Like that's kind of my personality. I don't necessarily like hype anything up too much. I don't really overlook too many things, but I'm like kind of level-headed in the sense that I'm like, okay, this is really happening. I know it's not until like after the fact and hindsight that I'm like, oh wow, that was actually a big deal, or that was so cool. In the moment I'm kind of steady, but I was like, this is pretty cool. I'm in a professional league and I'm playing with some really good people. And that was kind of my first reaction.
What was it like playing with the U.S. women's national lacrosse team?
That is definitely something where I'm just like, whoa. It's definitely something that I am super grateful for and extremely honored to be even considered in that pool. Because after playing this past weekend, I was just like, there's so much talent. There's so much talent, both in the US, internationally, and just being able to be considered in that is just so unbelievably cool. And just like knowing that it's something bigger than just me, like we're literally representing so many different factors of the US and different different types of athletes. And I just think that it's a really great opportunity to do something greater than yourself. So I'm honored by it.
What was the feeling like of putting on the Team USA jersey and obviously having USA on your chest to represent everybody?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, just super grateful. Again, this is one of those moments where I don't necessarily, this isn't like a hindsight moment. This is like a, like, this is legit. This is happening. This is a really awesome opportunity to represent the US, and, you know, just going to take every minute you get and go hard and know that people around the world are watching, whether that be just little girls in the stands or people watching or the streaming. Like, it just, like, it's, you're just on a bigger platform and so many more people are watching, and you just want to not disappoint. You just want to give it your all and go all in.
How has obviously playing with the WPLL helped you into where you are now with Athletes Unlimited?
Yeah, so I would say that the WPLL definitely helped with developing. I created a bunch of I developed a bunch of friends in the WPLL and connections, and I think that some of those same people are in AU, and it really helped the transition into a more professional league a lot smoother, because I just was more comfortable and confident, and I knew some people in there, and it was just really easy to transition from the WPLL to AU. So, and just being able to play, just continuing to play. Without continuing to play, people aren't going to know who to bring in to AU. So I do think it was beneficial that I had previous pro experience, so that I was fortunate enough to be asked into the league. So
Of course, what was it like coming back to JMU to obviously be an assistant coach?
yeah, so it's definitely a little weird. Because I still had people on the team that I played with and I was coaching, and it was definitely, it was a good dynamic, because you didn't have to go through that moment where it's a new coach and they're trying to figure out if they trust you, and it was kind of like fit like a glove. It's just like I came in and people were like, okay, we trust Haley, just because I had been there before and I know the program and I know the JMU way. And but there, it was definitely like sometimes they just want to like toe the line between like friend and coach, and it was good because they did give me that respect as a coach. So it was awesome opportunity to come back, because I do believe that my goal with JMU is to help put us on the map and be respected as a D1 team. I know we won a national championship, but I just think that we don't necessarily always get the respect that we deserve as a D1 team. So kind of here to help with that.
How has obviously being a player and coach helped you into what you are now as a coach?
Yeah, so going from the player aspect, understanding people, understanding what makes a coach tick, understanding like how to be successful with your coach. I do think that helped. Those skills that I learned in college like helped me become a better coach, because I just like understand kind of what the players are thinking, and then I'm like, okay, how does that mean I need to respond as a coach? So I think that's super helpful. But I also think becoming a coach has made me a better player, because now I'm seeing things from the side of like, why are these girls so nervous, or what's happening? Like, why would I worry about this stuff when I was a player? So it kind of helps me get rid of all the noise of being a player almost. Like, I'm just like, we should be confident, like we have the skill, go. Or like, I don't know. I don't really know how to put it into words, but being a player being a player helped me become a coach, and being a coach helped me become a better player. So it kind of is going hand in hand in a way.
Of course, with Athletes Unlimited and a lot of the players are coaches, how has that helped you to balance, obviously, throwing ideas off of each other to help both you as a player and obviously your teams that you coach?
Well, with all the coaches in AU, it's kind of nice because sometimes it gives you confidence that things you are teaching are like valuable lessons, because you hear other coaches talking about things that they're teaching their girls. And you're like, oh, I do that too. Okay, cool. Like, I'm not crazy. Or they'll like throw a new idea for a drill into our practice session, and I'm like, I really like this shooting drill. I never thought of it. I'm going to steal it and take it to my team. But like, it's a cool dynamic because we're totally comfortable like brainstorming and bouncing ideas off each other. Because it's like, if you're a coach, it's your lifestyle. And so it's totally natural and normal to talk about it outside of practice or your school. So it was an awesome experience to hear some of the cool things that like Michelle Tumlo and Kayla Trainer and Nicole Levy are bringing to their teams, because it validates what you're doing in a way.
What was it like signing with Athletes Unlimited and getting drafted each week to different teams?
Getting drafted each week was definitely a weird feeling that I never experienced before. I was just like kind of nervous for what team I was getting to place on, but like also kind of excited. And I was like, it's kind of lucky because you don't know who else is going to be on your team. You don't know if we're going to have a good dynamic. So it definitely challenges you in a way that you might not be used to, because it's like you're back in middle school. It's like recess or elementary school recess, where you're like, you could be the last kid picked in kickball, and you're like, well, that's sending a message. So again, like, it was interesting but fun, because I loved playing with a bunch of different people, and I was like counting. I was like, all right, who are the people I have yet to play with? Like, I didn't play with these few people. Like, what happened? Why didn't I play with them? I really wanted to play with them because they're doing so well, and I just want to be on their team. So I don't know. It was a cool experience to play with different people every week and try and find that chemistry. Yeah.
What is it like to have those chemistries with players like Lindsay Ronrack and other players like Michelle?
Yeah. So with Lindsay, I definitely had I've seen her play every week, and I was just like, this girl is a sweeping lefty. Like, she wants her left hand. So I'm going to do everything I can to pick up on her tendency and know that she wants to go to her left and sweep across, and I'm going to set her up for that. So I do think and with Michelle, it was just like, she's also a lefty. She is one of those people who, if you just like talk with her, like in the moment, you talk to her, like after a play, like you can get on the same page with her. And that was awesome, because that's very similar to how I play. If you just tell me what you want, I'll do it, like whatever it might be. So over the 5 weeks, we watched a lot of lacrosse. You picked up on people's strengths, you picked on people's weaknesses, you that way, like when you got drafted onto your team, you're like, okay, I know what I need to do to be successful with this group. So it's definitely fun to figure out people's tendencies and try and play to them to the best we can so that we could pull out a W.
What is it like to obviously play with people that obviously in college you were playing against, like let's say Taylor Cummings, who was with Maryland, you might be playing against her versus now you might be playing with her?
It's definitely better to be on Taylor's team. I'll give you that for sure. I think she's an incredible player, and having to go up against her, she's just a true competitor. Like you don't really want to get in her way, because she's very driven, and wants to win. So I would just say it was nice to be. I don't know if I was on her team in AU, but just in general, like all the great players, it's nice to finally be on their side, because you go so many years with like having that competition, and like you don't necessarily always get along on the field, but now you're on the same team and you guys are great friends. Like off the field, everyone's great friends. So it's just cool to see a different side of them, when you actually get to be on the same side of the field as them.
What is a typical game day like for you, and what are some of your routines and rituals like?
So a typical game day, I definitely have to get, so it starts 2 days before. So I definitely have to get 2 days out before the game. I have to get a great night of sleep, like absolutely have to get 8 hours or more done. The day before, fine. I don't necessarily need as much sleep, but I like have to get that sleep 2 days before. So if I get 7, 6 hours, whatever they gave the day before, fine. I'll wake up, have to shower, I have to have my hair clean so that I can put it up in a pony, because my hair is very difficult. And if I was ever wearing a bun, it's because I couldn't put my hair in a ponytail. It was just being difficult that day. So that's why I wear a bun sometimes. That's why I wear a ponytail sometimes. It's because my hair doesn't cooperate. But like for AU, I would eat food, chill, have to drink coffee, like 5 cups of coffee a day, like have to have it, have to be wired before the game. I would go to the game before. If there was a game before, I'd watch some of it, get ready, like listen to some music, wrestle with my hair before I go out to the field. And then I'd go out, warm up and play. But I would definitely say like washing my hair the day of the game is a must. That is like my one thing that I'm like very set on. Everything else I'm like kind of chill about. I don't really have any superstitions. I just want to prepare my body in the best way that I can. So that's kind of my prep before games.
Who are some players that you look up to in the league and in professional lacrosse?
So I'm probably going to miss some names. So I apologize to anybody who watches this, because there are so many good people. But some of the people that I definitely was like super impressed with, Kayla Trainer, definitely. Like I think she is just so skilled and talented and knows the game so well, and I think she's awesome. Nicole Levy, I mentioned her before, but she was definitely one of the people. I only went 1 week without being on her team, and that was like a very sad week for us. We joked about it the whole week, but I would say that she was a sleeper pick, and I look up to that because I kind of identify with that a little bit. So I look up to her with her skill, her knowledge, all of the above. I'll mention Tumalo, obviously look up to her. She's just one of the greats. Taylor, I mean, she won the league. She won the league. She's just so good. She wins everything she does. Like, explain that to me. And there's obviously so many more, but like those are just a few off the top of my head, that I just think are incredible players.
What are some of your future plans in your professional lacrosse career?
That's a tough one because I don't really know. I'm just gonna continue to play as long as I can, and kind of just take it day by day, year by year, see what's going on. I'm hopeful that this league is going to stay and be a permanent solution for professional lacrosse. So if that's the case, I'm gonna try and play as long as I can. but yeah, I mean, I definitely want to keep growing the sport. I definitely want to grow it, not just here, but in other countries. I think that if we want to get the sport to the Olympics, it's going to need to grow overseas. And I think that that's something that I'm definitely passionate about, growing the game. So just whatever I can do in that area.
What advice would you give college lacrosse players looking to play college lacrosse and then go on to professionally?
I would say take care of your body. You have to be healthy in order to get to this level. So whatever that is, like eat, sleep, hydrate, like all of the above, recovery for sure, rehab, all of it. Take care of your body because it is literally a temple. And if you want to go far, you need to have that. And second is, you know, everyone is special in their own way. Take skills from other people, but don't try and be somebody else. Because you are brought to whatever school or university that you're meant to be at, and you can do great things there with the skills that you have. So you're brought there for a reason, and play to those strengths.
What advice would you give professional lacrosse players looking to play professionally?
Well, I would say that it's a lot of fun, and it's very competitive. So the game's ever evolving, and if you just keep up with the game, like you have to keep up with how the college game is progressing, how the professional league's progressing, how international is progressing, and trying to see like where the game is growing and keep evolving with the sport. I do think that if we can keep it fun, fast, entertaining, all the above, we're going to do great things with the sport.
What advice would you give professional athletes looking to get into college coaching like you did?
It's definitely a lot of time into your sport, and you really have to love it. You have to be committed to it. You have to be willing to work on weekends. You have to be thinking about it all the time, but just know that you're impacting not only your life, but 32 to 40 other girls. And it's definitely something special. The girls really appreciate it. Girls want to get out. They want to work hard for you, and they value you.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
You can find me on Instagram. My, I guess, tag is Haley Warden, no spaces. And then Twitter, I believe it's Haley Warden 25.
Thank you again, Haley Warden, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with Athletes Unlimited.
Thank you.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Haley Warden, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.